David. You know. And you know, one thing is this. If you don't understand what God is doing in your time, you will become irrelevant in your time. Of the sons of Issachar, they were men, 1 Chronicles 12:32. They were men that had understanding of the time to know what Israel ought to do. Please, I'm sorry to say this, many pastors have become irrelevant even in the time they live in. Even in the time they live in. And that is not God's doing. Some have suddenly grown older than the work. The promises of God are new every morning. I read in my scriptures. So whatever God is doing with you cannot be old. It must be new every morning. Otherwise, you become irrelevant. And you must be sensitive to know when a particular instruction has outlived its intention. Yes, God said to Abraham, take Isaac your son to the mountain I will show you, and then sacrifice him unto me. That's what God said, and it's God that said so. So Abraham took Isaac and took him to the mountain, and then lay him on the altar and brought out his sharp knife. Did God say, sacrifice Isaac? Yes, he said so. If Abraham should slaughter Isaac at that point and set him on fire, has he done the will of God? Yes, that is the will of God. But the moment Abraham brought out his knife and lifted his hand to slaughter Isaac, there was another instruction. Lay not your hand on the lad. Now at that point, if Abraham continued to sacrifice Isaac, has he obeyed God? The answer is no. You must know when your instruction changed. I was praying one day, so many are still going today. House-to-house evangelism is very powerful. I hope you know that. Very powerful. But if you are going to dwell on house-to-house evangelism in the next 50 years, you will probably have only 50 members. I want you to understand. I'm going to say that again for clarity purpose. If you are going to dwell on house-to-house evangelism, in the next 50 years, you will only have 50 members. Because you must understand the mind of God. Brethren, there is no time. And now we are in the multitude era of the church. And God wants to give you multitude. You can't get multitude by winning one soul in 1 year. God must give you a strategy by which you throw your net and you can drag in 100 people at a time. That's why the present you cannot enter into the level you are asking God for. Because some things must change for you to experience the new level. You can't be stalked. Are we still together? Because there are great and mighty things that God wants to do through you. Great and mighty things. Great and mighty things. And if it is great and mighty things, there must be great ideas and great strategies. It won't be the same old ones because they don't work. We live in a different time and seasons, men of God. Sons of Issachar were men that had understanding. Thank you, man of God, because that is very, very important. If there's anything that God wants you and I to have in the time we live in now, is the understanding of the time we live in, to know what to do. A few years ago, I gathered all my pastors and ministers together. We went to a camp. Say, come, let's go and reason together. It was a camp meeting. And the theme of that retreat was the technology of change. And I told all my pastors, things are changing. It's either you change or you'll be changed. And I told them. Then my son was in the university. I think he was 17 then. He was 17 then. This is about 7 or 8 years ago now. Now my son is a father. I'm a double grandfather. I was telling men ago yesterday. My son is married. My first daughter is married. She got married last September. My son is a pastor. My daughter is a minister in the church. My second daughter is a minister in the church. She's in university currently. Then the last one was in the choir. So I told our pastors, I said, look at this young man. Look at these young little ones in the workforce. Add 5 years to their age now. 17 plus 5, 22. 15 plus 5, 20. If you keep looking at them and talking to them as if they are children, you will become outdated. In 5 years' time, they are adults. Few understood what I was talking about. Many did not understand what I'm talking about. And I told all our pastors, I said, I give you the next 5 years, get back to school. You don't have a degree, go back to school. Not because you need a degree to do ministry, but it will brush you up. It will upgrade you. It will improve your level of understanding, because many pastors are preaching what they don't even understand. They are preaching, but they don't understand what they are preaching. They can't interpret that Bible. They just read it. But they don't have that level of understanding to break it down. Paul said, study to show yourself approved unto God, a workman that need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy 2:15. And I said to them, pastors, ministers, I said, in the next 5 years and 10 years, you will be sitting down in your different branches, and there will be doctors and engineers in the congregation you'll be preaching to. Will you be able to communicate to them? Will you be able to speak things that they will benefit from far below them? Why do young people grow to a certain age and they leave your church? Because you are no longer blessing them. You are no longer feeding them. You are no longer feeding them. It is the truth. It is not spirit of Antichrist. It's not devil that enter into them. It's either you tell yourself the truth or you go home. I'm telling you the truth. So I told our pastors, if you don't want to be an outdated pastor, go back to school and upgrade yourself. You don't have a degree, go get one. You have a degree, go get your master's. Go get your master's. So that when you read some things, you can understand what you read. Then you can rightly interpret it for the people to apply it. Now, in your congregation, you're going to be having business executives, bankers, bank MDs, who from Monday to Friday, they will work. And then they are going to have some issues that need them to make certain intelligent decisions the following week. When they come to your church on Sunday and they sit down, will they find the answer? Will they find the answer? When they come to church and you preach, all you want to preach, and then that bank manager who is a member of your church could not get any answer to give him a direction on that situation in his office on Monday, then he will ask himself, why am I here? Another you for another level. You want God to move you to that level you have been praying about. The level is not far from you. It's you that need to move up. So I told our pastors, get back to work and upgrade yourself. Some didn't take it serious. And I did not hesitate to also flush them out. Because you cannot carry people who don't want to move for too long. Otherwise, you two will not move. The problem is this. God bless you, Pastor James. Many of us are running ministry as if it's a benevolence organization. You are too sentimental. Some of you have too much emotional attachment to certain people. They are foundation members. They've been here for so long, and then they have gotten you stuck for so long, and you and them are going nowhere. Can I shock you? You've got to let Jonah go. Because if Jonah don't go, your ship will sink. But sir, this is the irony of it. Jonah will refuse to answer God's call. That's why there is storm. If you don't throw Jonah away, the ship will sink, but Jonah will not die. Because when your ship sink, there is a fish in the belly of the water that will still carry Jonah to where he's going to. You and your ministry gone. So there are people you've got to close your eyes and just tell them, I love you, I appreciate you, I celebrate you. You've been with me for a long time, but I think you've got to stay here with the asses while I and the young lad will go up yonder. Because there's another level. There's another level. One Sunday I called 3 of my ministers and I said, from today, you cease from being ministers in this church. I love you guys, you're wonderful people. But you can't be ministers again. You can remain as workers or members, but not ministers. Are ministers. Jesus looked at Judas and told him, that which you want to do, do it quickly. Do it quickly. Don't waste time. You want to live? Live now. Live now. Live now. You don't need to pray about it. Somebody came and met one time. I said, sir, I visited their branch, and he said, sir, one of the pastors there said, when you come to visit us, maybe next time, I would like you to pray for me and release me. And I said, no, go and get me a bottle of oil. You don't need to wait till when I come next time. He went and bought it. I said, kneel down. Where's your wife? Call your wife. Kneel down. I release you now. I release you now. That which you want to do, do it when? Now. If you keep the Jonah in your ship, it will wreck your ship. The ship will go down. You will go down with the ship. Jonah will survive. Jonah will survive. Jonah will survive. So let Jonah go. Hey, but I don't know what will happen to them. Let Jonah go. Commit Jonah into the hand of God and let Jonah go. Leave Jonah for God and let Jonah go. The ministry is on your shoulders, not on the shoulder of your Jonah. Let Jonah go. Otherwise, your ship will go down and Jonah will still survive. Another you for another level. Please, as you return back after this meeting, I want your church to know that this is not the pastor I used to know. This is another pastor. Because that's what should happen after this conference. Otherwise, our gathering here does not worth it. Are we still together? In the fabrication of another you, there are principles and processes. Principles are universal facts and make life and success predictable. Principles. They are universal facts that make success and life predictable. So like the illustration that man of God gave us the other time. You follow it, this is where you get to. You don't follow it, this is where you get to. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, Joshua 1:8. But you shall meditate in it day and night to observe, to do according to all that is written in it. As a result of that, no prophecy is more sure than that. You will make your ways prosperous. You will make your ministry prosperous, and you will have good success. Principles. God is no respecter of any person, but God respects principles. One thing about principle is this. It works everywhere, anywhere, and delivers the same result. No land is difficult. It depends on the principle you're operating. It will work anywhere. If it's working in a ministry somewhere, what is the principle? It will work in your ministry. If it's working in that city, what is the principle? If you apply it, it will work for you also. That's one thing with principle. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 15, please, if you can help me locate it. Let's see what brings struggling in ministry. The labor of the foolish wearieth every one of them. When someone does not know the things he needs to know, what he's doing will belabor everybody. It will weary him. He will be frustrated. Everybody around him will be frustrated. Why? Because he does not know how to. Somebody say how to. I didn't hear you say how to. He does not know how to. The thing is how to. Where are you going? I'm going to Dansoma. I know there's a place, Inter Road now, and say I'm going there. I'll be lost. Maybe you hear in the next moment, I'm answering from Nigeria. Because I don't know how to get to Dansoma. You have seen a wonderful vision. A church of 1,000, a church of 2,000. God showed me, but how to get there, you don't know. That's the problem. He does not know how to. He does not know how to. How do I cross 70 membership? How do I cross 100 membership barrier? How do I cross 200? How do I reach 500? He does not know how to. He does not know how to. How do I break financial limitation in my ministry? He does not know how to. A man of God, a friend of mine called me. We had an appointment together to discuss some things. And then he said, man of God, please wait. Before we go into our discussion, there's a question I've been wanting to ask you. The last time you came for leadership, summit in our church, because they had a 2-day leadership summit. All his leaders and members asked that I should come and instruct them. He said, you said something that in your church, you don't even raise special seed for projects. Before any project, you already have 60% of the money before the project starts. Excuse me. Person when they ask for road, no, they miss road. That's what he told me. He said, if you're an old man, and you don't know road, and a little child knows road, and you say because of your age, you don't ask little boy, you'll be missed him. They'll look for you from now, they're not going to see you. He said, please, I've been wanting to ask you, how do you do it? And then we discussed, and I told him one or two things. I said, there are just very simple things that I learned. I learned from mentors. I ask questions. Financial policies must be in place. And certain things. None of those things is magical. No. They are simple, simple things. He said, now I got it. Now I got it. He does not know how to. Does not know how. Change why. If you don't change, why your environment is changing, you fizzle out when you get stopped. The environment is changing, things are changing, but you are not changing. You fizzle out because you don't know how to. Because the way we are created, we are designed to evolve. The promises of God are new every morning. So things are changing. Let me tell your neighbor, things are changing.